What do you get when you cross a know-it-all newspaper columnist with an awkward, unsophisticated everyman?
Yeah. Well, I'm just not sure about that right now.
Welcome to Couch and the Rube.
Welcome to Couch in the Rube, our Tuesday afternoon show, presented by our friends at Muskox Quality Flannels. I was just in Portland, Maine, standing under the famed Portland Lighthouse, LL Bean Country, some might say, wearing my Muskox flannel, or one of my Muskox flannels, just trying to invade their territory, so to speak. Let them know what's what in Maine, what's here, and how good we look in our Muskox flannel, how comfortable we are, even on a cold, frigid day on the Atlantic Ocean. You too can have a Muskox flannel. It is flannel season. Go to gomuskox.com, and you can use the promo code HOFF, H-O-F-F, for $15 off your Muskox flannel. Our Tuesday afternoon show also presented by our friends at Front 43 and Cask & Company. If you're looking for a place to watch the game, or you can also get a beer and then watch other games and get on with if it's a Michigan State football game, maybe the rest of your day. Front 43 and Cask & Company, an ideal place for you. Jason, how you doing, brother?
Happy Halloween, ladies and gentlemen. I look ridiculous right now. Oh my goodness. It's okay though. It's okay if I look a little ridiculous because it is Halloween. What is my Halloween costume this year, you might ask? I am a cowboy who loves the Detroit Lions. Peacock.
What's up, buddy? Happy Halloween. From Tony Dombrowski and myself.
Thank you.
Yeah. By the way, Tony Dombrowski had a 10-minute Lions recap last night. I'm a big fan of Tony Dombrowski, even though he doesn't respond to any of my tweets. I want to ask our listeners, the people that love our show, to try to watch and see how long you can make it through that 10-minute video.
Okay.
I made it a minute 30, and that's what I got that out of it, that dressed like a cowboy.
He definitely...
The visual's something else as well.
Yeah. The promo teases they used to do to their coffee place were my favorite. Just fantastic. I don't want to give any pub here, but
I actually went through the video. I just scanned over it to see if I saw the Roast Umber commercial.
Yeah.
I definitely have to see that. Anyway.
So a lot going on here, man.
Yeah.
We missed our usual Sunday night show, so we're going to make it up to you here. Not really. We're not going to do a hot take show in the traditional way where we bring in your hot takes. We'll get into Twitter questions later in the week, but we're just going to basically talk about 3 topics here, and then we're gonna have Harry on and pick the games. We're going to do a lot of MSU football, some MSU basketball, and some Detroit freaking Lions. And the weirdest thing, though,
restore the roar.
The weirdest story of the day, though, is we'll start with MSU football here, because the weirdest story of the day is this Connor Stallions deal. Obviously, Connor Stallions is the staffer on Michigan staff who is accused of masterminding the Spygate ring of scouting future opponents for Michigan football that's gotten them in some hot water here. And there is video of somebody who resembles him on the sideline at Spartan Stadium during the Central Michigan State game the Friday of Labor Day weekend, when Michigan obviously didn't play that night.
No, that ain't me.
A couple things that are weird about this, and by the time you listen, this may be settled. I don't know that it's him. There is one, you can look through their roster and their coaching roster, and there are other people that could be that person. But you would think if they knew who it was at this point, that they would have said so. Like it would be out there already. And the statement by Central Michigan was very serious. It was the idea that they're investigating this. And we haven't heard. Like if that person's on your staff, it's a pretty quick statement. No, that's Joe. Joe looks kind of like that. He's weird. He wears sunglasses on night games.
And Jim McElwain used to coach at Michigan. So there's a tie there.
It's weird, but it's also weird just because like the whole idea of this is to videotape.
Yeah.
What's happening on the sidelines, and it doesn't look like he's videotaping things. Like you can do that from the stands. Like what is he getting out of it? Was it just it's just
trying to get signals, I guess.
Yeah, but You can do that. I don't know. It just
But
gets
people,
weirder.
I need to know what the difference is. Like, how far did they step? Because people, football, people that know ball tell me that, okay, it's different, but it's widespread and well known that other people do this. So what is so bad about the Stallions guy that he's doing that's so much above board?
You're not supposed to do the videoing, and you're not supposed to go to scout future opponents in stadium. It's all very gray, right? Whether how corrupt it is, but there seems to be lines you don't cross, and other coaches will say, and this is whatever. It's about, but I will say this: if this turns out to be Connor Stallions on the sideline, and by the time you listen to this, it might not be, so we're not going to spend a ton of time on it. If it is him, it lends me to think more and more that he did all this on his own, because this is just weird. This is the sort of stuff, if you're on Michigan's coaching staff and you're like a respectable coach who's had multiple coaching jobs, you'd be like, what did you do?
So you're saying Harbaugh didn't know?
I'm saying it's more likely this is some rogue guy who just enjoyed this scheme he put together, thought he was giving Michigan the greatest advantages he could, being the best help he could. And on the staff, they kind of knew him as a guy who got them all the signs. And, maybe there's some people who probably should have asked more questions or didn't know what's what, or maybe some other people did know what was going on. I bet you they didn't know this. I bet you they didn't know one of their staffers was dressed as a Central Michigan staffer in sunglasses at a night game at Spartan Stadium for that game. I bet you they didn't know that.
Maybe not to that extent.
Right. This makes it sound more like this is just one weird dude. And that is
so is that it excuse it? And what's up with Michigan? I mean, Shemi Schembechler, the Stallions guy. Should we look at all into who they're hiring? And you're saying so Harbaugh is hands free of this. I could see that, because I could see Harbaugh saying, listen, don't tell me anything. You guys just do what you have to do. So that way I don't have any idea what's going on.
College football is full of weird characters. Yes. There are lots of weird people. There are things that I can't even tell you about coaches that people like around here that are just weird traits. Dabo Sweeney, weird dude, great coach, weird guy.
12-year-olds.
Jim Harbaugh is an insanely weird dude, right? And sometimes I wonder if he's like there social issues with him, because he's bizarrely weird. There are lots of weird people in college athletics, and so that's
weird people everywhere.
And then any
profession,
and you add the idea that this is just some ridiculous fanboy, this Connor Stallions, who created some manifesto, and it's.
But how is he getting on Central Michigan sideline
that's
with
the
an
question.
all-access badge? People knew he was on that sideline. Someone knew.
There is the question, right? Is how did that happen? But
Central Michigan has multiple staff members with ties to Michigan, according to ESPN.com.
Yeah, so we'll find out what happened. And
will we?
Central Michigan's looking at this, because Central Michigan now looks stupid, and they don't want to look stupid. I'm going to tell you right now, Central Michigan's going to figure this out. Nobody else may figure anything else out about this. Central Michigan is going to figure this much out. Because
why are they pissed?
Because they look stupid.
Why they were scouting Michigan State, though. They weren't scouting Central. No one gives a shit about Central.
He's wearing a pass that makes him look like he's on Central staff. He's dressed as a Central staffer. Like, how did that happen? If I'm Central Michigan, I want to know how that happened.
You can push that off on someone that you can fire pretty easily, I'm guessing. It's not like it's some scandal at Central. They're probably excited that anyone's talking about Central Michigan football.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll see where that goes. Michigan State football, it had a pretty typical Michigan State football day. Well, there are a couple things to get into.
Yeah, we don't have enough time for all of that.
We are going to get into MSU hoops, because I think that's a happier place, even with the loss, and quite a bit of Lions, because that was.
How about that Cohen Carr dunk, huh? Amazing.
The interesting thing about MSU football that I think is of note is the quarterback situation, because that is the story. That is the only on-field story that really, really matters right now, other than can they finally win a game. And I think that's important. Like, over there today, talking to the players, and those guys really badly want to win a game. And this is their last game at Spartan Stadium for a small group of seniors. Even I had a great conversation today with Chance Rucker, right? Nicest kid in the world. Kid Michigan State should really hope sticks around. And so that stuff really, that stuff matters. But those guys talking about how much they wanted to get Harlan Barnett a single win, how much they wanted to get each other a win. So I think there's still something there that's very human about just experiencing a win together again. So that stuff still matters. But
so November 18th then?
It could happen this
saying?
week. Nebraska's beatable.
Mm.
But for most people's purposes, the quarterback position is the only thing left that's really interesting on the field. And I think what we realize is Sam Leavitt, the freshman, true freshman, he might not be the guy. And Katin Hauser, yes, still could be it. But none of the evidence that we've seen on Saturdays points that way right now. Everything points to Sam Leavitt being a more intriguing prospect, that Katin Hauser has some limitations that Leavitt doesn't have. Now, obviously, Hauser is somebody who is a redshirt freshman who could wind up being a very good college quarterback. There are lots of redshirt freshmen who aren't that polished, who can't make a bad offense look good and wind up being good quarterbacks. There are lots of guys with big arms and quick feet who don't wind up being savvy, good quarterbacks. Nothing is set in stone. But when the evidence all points one way, you have to react to what you see. It's all you can do.
Why?
Why would you not play Sam Leavitt at this point?
Sure.
He gave the offense tons of juice. And yes, he fumbled. Yes, he threw an interception. But the ball just comes out of his arm differently. He's quicker on his feet. He's just more of a playmaker out there. And this offense that doesn't really have playmakers needs its quarterback to be one. And I don't see how you wouldn't at this point go to him. And what they said apparently yesterday, and I was still in Maine for my grandma's 100th, by the way.
How'd that go?
Ella Couch said, what's up? And she's,
right.
Yeah, it was great. It was unbelievable. I mean, she's not the same person she was.
Just say happy birthday.
Yeah, she's not the same person she was maybe 10 years ago at her 90th, but she was.
I'm not either when I was
correct
34.
But she had a really good time, and there, it was a lot of fun to be there with her and enjoy those moments and see that many people who cared about her. You don't get to do a lot of 100th birthdays, right?
So will you go to 101 then?
I don't know.
101st? Is that like you don't care now that you've been to the 100th?
Right. Once you get to 100, it's
101's no big deal.
Yeah. Fuck 101. But anyway, and even my grandma agreed with this. Like Sam Leavitt looks like the guy. She said,
"How do you know who the guy is? I don't know how you can sit there and look at Katin Hauser or Sam Leavitt because of what's surrounding them. I don't know what you're expecting them to do. Like Sam Leavitt's not Pat Mahomes. He can't just run and make a play out of nothing. He's got no offensive line. No one's catching the ball really. I just can't sit there and debate who they should start.
Sam Leavitt he just looks better than Katin Hauser at this point.
Sure, and I'm sure you can watch a guy throw a football. If you watch Sam Leavitt and Katin Hauser throw a football around for a minute, you go, yeah, I think Sam Leavitt is better than Hauser. You could do that. I'm just saying if you're watching game play, it's just like I have no idea. They don't have any players around them right now.
Yeah, it's
a
bad.
Shit show.
It's bad. It sucks. And it sucks for Katin Hauser.
Sure.
It's a tough deal for all these guys. But there's no question that the offense just had more juice to it. It moved. Sam Leavitt.
And he had 6 carries for 52 yards.
He gave them a jolt. And you have to react to what's in front of you. And I know that right now they say that's a competition. This is the first week they didn't say Katin Hauser just the guy. I would be very surprised if Sam Leavitt does not start this week. I think you have to take a decent look at him. And the week after that, you don't want his first start to be at Ohio State at night. That sucks. Like if you're
going to start that then?
Well,
Kim?
No, it might be Sam Leavitt. I'm just saying you don't want it to be his first start. You maybe give the guy the full game against against Nebraska. And you could wait on Sam Hauser and wait to just play him against
Sam Hauser
Indiana.
would be a great quarterback. You
Sam
take a little
Leavitt.
piece of Katin Hauser and Sam Leavitt.
Fucking, I'd fix that in post, but we're doing this live. No, and the other thing they're going to have to figure out with Sam Leavitt, and they're going to have the conversation about blowing the redshirt year and what that means. And if you're going to blow that redshirt year, and he only has one more game to play in where he can then keep his redshirt year, keep this year of eligibility, if you're going to do that, then you need to really play him. It's unfair to keep bringing him in the fourth quarter of a couple more games, and he plays in 5 or 6. He's got to get a couple starts. He's got to be a guy who this year winds up being worthwhile to him, and if he's going to lose that eligibility. We don't know 100% what he'll become, but I just think at this point, and yes, Katin Hauser's only gotten 3 starts. He's done it with no discernible playmakers around him, and that's concerning. It's been unfair in some ways. He did it against a Michigan team that completely overwhelmed their whole offense. That's one of his 3 starts. But how many of these do you get? Like, it's also not fair to Sam Leavitt if he's just stuck where he is because you're trying to be fair to Katin Houser. The other thing is, I think Katin Houser, to this point, he is a lesson to everyone who thought he was going to be like, quote, him, based on nothing.
You're wrapping it up on Katin Houser already?
I'm not.
Kid doesn't have it.
But it was hype out of thin air, and the idea that he was going to be it
was Twitter shit, man.
Hold on. The idea, though, that he was better than Noah Kim for sure in practice, that he was probably better than Peyton Thorne or competing with, you can see now why. I mean, he's a redshirt freshman. It does take time. I'm not saying he should have been great, but he wasn't helped by the hype either. And I'm not saying people shouldn't get excited about young quarterbacks and young players. That's part of the fun of all of this. But I just want you to remember, Katin Houser to this point falls into the category of so many young quarterbacks perform at Michigan State who either didn't pan out or weren't quite what people wanted. And just to remember, it is often hype based on nothing. It's just your imagination of the possibilities, and that's okay, but just remind yourself that that's all it is. It's based on zero evidence. And because the only evidence we have so far, has been that Sam Leavitt actually should have been the guy. Like, if the hype was based on anything, if people had any information on that, people would have known the guy behind Houser, Sam Leavitt, had a little more of an arm, had a little more juice to him.
But how was anyone supposed to know?
I'm not saying they should have, but the definitive nature in which they spoke of Houser being the guy without knowing that he was the guy, or without seeing anything, without having any evidence, I think is one of those things that just...
And stay off social media, because that's pretty much where you saw the Katin Houser love. I mean, who cares? You have so much time in between these games. We've talked about it, to talk about different things. And when shit goes wrong, I mean, you have your guy at quarterback. I had Theo Day a couple years ago. I didn't know anything about Theo Day. I just thought, hey, let's root for Theo Day. It means nothing. Anything I tweeted about Theo Day, don't take anything from it, right? So I just don't care what anybody on Twitter says. I'm watching these guys. Which one can perform better under the circumstances? I just don't know why Sam Leavitt would want to keep playing in this situation.
Well, why he'd want to stay at Michigan State.
Right. You're not going to look great in this scenario with the teammates you have currently. So it's hard to sit there and break down Sam Leavitt versus Katin Houser when they're just dealt with a bunch of shit.
You could not fault Sam Leavitt if he went to the coaches and said, look, I'll play in one more game. Use me if you need me, if somebody gets hurt or whatnot. In that sense,
I couldn't fault all of these guys doing that.
Right, but I don't want to go over 4 games. I'd like to have this year back. I'm probably going to leave after this year, or I at least want to have. I want to see who the new coach is. I want to get a sense of what my future would be, and think about it after this year, having 4 full years of eligibility. I also think Sam Leavitt thinks he's a guy who's not going to need that long to get to the NFL. That may not be his truth, his reality. It isn't for most of these guys, but most freshmen, true freshmen, although quarterbacks do tend to understand it takes a while, takes a lot of reps, but most true freshmen think they're not going to need the full allotted time, and there is value in playing. And so if you're Sam Leavitt and you're not going to have to sit out a year anyway, even if you leave, I can see him saying, hey, if I'm going to play, I'm going to play. I'm cool with that. I'm cool using this year if I'm going to actually get to start, the next 4 games in the Big Ten or something. There's tremendous value in that. Anyway, that'll be interesting to see where it goes.
Is there value if you keep going like 8 for 12 for 70 yards? I don't know. And then get hammered by Ohio State. Does that help you if you're Sam Leavitt?
Be doing that somewhere else. And so Houser's the guy to get behind. And so I don't think you either give up on Katin Houser as a prospect either. All I'm saying here is that you have to look at the evidence at hand. And what we have seen of Sam Leavitt so far is that the offense moves better with him. The same thing happened with Connor Cook, with Andrew Maxwell. And Andrew Maxwell has a lot more experience than Katin Houser. I'm not saying that's fair in terms of the amount of run that Katin Houser's gotten. But it was you just saw something look different when Cook was first under center. You see something right now look different when Leavitt's there. The offense suddenly moves, the same offense, the same dudes against the same defense. And I think you have to react to that, and I think you got to go with Sam Leavitt this week against Nebraska.
It was just your smugness a little bit with the Katin Houser thing. Like, oh, these people that were rooting for Katin Houser, now what?
I apologize.
You know what I mean? It's like, all right.
I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it because I actually have no issue with Katin Houser. Why would I? I barely know the kid. I've talked to him a few times. He's been delightful to talk with. He's been open. He's been great. I hope he has a great career. I hope it's at Michigan State. I have no issue with that. I do. It's not anything. And you're right. It does exist on social media, which isn't real. And people need to remember that a little bit when they feel like the whole world wants Urban Meyer.
Right.
There are a lot of people who want Urban Meyer, but that's like 150 people on social media.
It's when people you respect on these social media platforms that start saying it. Then I go, oh, okay.
It's why I'm careful with the Urban Meyer stuff online. I mean,
that's fun though.
But what I'm saying, yeah. I mean, I hear stuff. I hear certain things. I talk to certain people.
Do tell.
But I also know that when I actually say, hey, this is what I'm hearing, this is real or this isn't, it's going to carry a little weight. And so I'm very careful about making sure I have ducks in a row before I say
anything. What people love on a podcast is that one of the hosts says, oh, man, I know a bunch of shit you would love to hear about, but I'm not going to say it on the show. I'm sure listeners love that.
I apologize.
I have a bunch of great stuff that I can't tell you ever.
I try not to do that. And I will give everything I can give here and be responsible.
Well, you
can't.
So. Listen, if you have sources, you can't just say whatever a source tells you all the time.
Well, and you also have
your ball.
And I think this is one of the things when you social media has opened the door up for there'll be lots of different types of media, right? People who are just love Michigan State, so they get into it, but in terms of you can't just always, you can have a source, but a source isn't always right. Or you can have a source, and that's enough to get you started on something. But then you need to go to confirm it with a couple other people.
Sure.
And why does a source, and sometimes sources have their own agendas and things like that. So you have to be a little.
It's just always
especially with a story like this,
the social media narrative, and I'm like, well, who said that? And then you're like, Johnny Boy 7894 said it. So it's a story. It's like, no, it doesn't matter if you saw it on Twitter. Just fucking block people and don't read about that stuff. I guess I don't know
if it doesn't come from the Upper Deck Jerk guy. I don't take it as truth.
Absolutely.
So anyway, that's the MSU football we're going to do.
Fun.
Going to do for now. We'll get into it more in your Groovy Donut Twitter questions. And you guys know the best way to get stuff out of me is usually ask me a Twitter question, because sometimes I just freaking.
So now the listener has to play detective.
No,
ask you the right question.
I will.
You will unlock the story if you ask me the right question.
I will try to have it framed so I can say what I can say by Thursday. By the time we do our Groovy Donut Twitter questions show, because
why don't you just tell me and I'll say it, and then people are like, what
sounds
the
good.
Fuck? Yeah. And then you can go
straight from the roof.
That's bullshit. I mean the roof, right?
Give me a donut. Anyway,
so had too many donuts, mate.
All right.
Oh God.
Let's get into some MSU basketball here. Happier deal.
Don't coach my team.
I watched the scrimmage from Maine. I was happy to see that my hotel, which by the way is right next to the setup where I stayed was very close to the airport, the Portland International Jetport, which is where, by the way, the 9/11 hijackers started their day.
Oh, uplifting.
Yeah. It's also right next to what the hotel I stayed at was right next to the Comfort Inn that used to be, I don't know if it was a Comfort Inn or if it was a Best Western, or maybe it's a Best Western. So
was it a Red
it
Roof Inn that Muhammad Atta stayed at?
No, but it was where the hijackers stayed the night before.
Jesus.
And
didn't they go to a strip club the night before too?
Well, they also went to Best Buy where my cousin Katie was working.
Jesus.
And
you're tied to 9/11?
She got interviewed by the FBI because they were going to come
through.
They were going to come through her aisle with stuff they were buying, but she was busy upselling somebody on a warranty, and they got annoyed and they went down another young woman's aisle, and she had to get interviewed for like 8 hours by the FBI.
So she could have stopped 9/11.
I didn't say that, but it was a one-time an upsell of a warranty. I mean, it would have been really weird as if she was trying to upsell them on the warranty. But sorry, that's probably too soon for any of those. Anyway, it's always weird to be there. They don't talk about it a lot there. You can imagine the airport there doesn't want to really acknowledge that they were the reason that the TSA is the way it is now, and that hotel doesn't really brag about the fact that, can we get
they don't have a sign up?
Can we get the terrorist suite?
9/11, the 9/11 terrorists stayed here.
Yeah.
What room? Did you stay in their room too? I mean, Jesus,
I've never stayed there, but
the whole tour.
My folks used to stay there all the time. Yeah, even after. Kind of a.
Well, I guess you got to stay there. I get it, but
it's a decent hotel, right? Right. But anyway, my hotel did have Big Ten Network. That's what I was trying to say.
We went from 9/11 to get you to the Big Ten Network, which makes sense.
Yeah.
Actually.
So there are hotels in like West Lafayette, middle of Big Ten country. There's nothing more Big Ten than West Lafayette that don't have Big Ten Network. And yet in Portland, Maine, Big Ten Network, which is great.
But it's just so weird that remotes inside of hotel rooms, they're always wonky, or you have to hit them 5 times so it goes up or down.
Well, it's even harder for me because I won't touch them with my own hands. Because there's nothing more germy in this country than a hotel remote. So I've always got like Kleenex over it and stuff.
That's why you have an immune system.
Yeah, well.
What are you worried about?
What I don't know.
Germs?
I just don't like to get sick. That's all.
Yeah, it's valid.
It's a pain in the ass. I'm the guy who wrote the column in high school for the high school newspaper that if you came to school sick, you should be suspended for 3 days because I'd rather you hit me in the face and you'd be suspended for 3 days if you hit me in the face. So, like, what was worse? Coming to school sick was a worse crime than hitting somebody in the face because you're going to be more miserable longer if you get somebody sick. Anyway, but watch the MSU basketball game on Big Ten Network. And first of all, I think this was a really smart thing to do, and I think they should do it more often. And Michigan State should be on the road sometimes because I think there's tremendous value for Tennessee. But I think getting punched in the mouth out of the gate, falling down 15-1 in front of your own fans and having to react like this early in the year is really valuable. Because you're probably less likely to get punched in the mouth against Duke when you've already played a really good team. And that, I just think.
But why make a comeback when the refs are just going to call some petty bullshit at the end anyway?
It
should have been OT.
Probably, but it's also an exhibition game, so the winning and losing doesn't matter.
Right. And that's why they shouldn't have called the ticky-tack foul. I'm just saying. Come on, these refs know it's an exhibition. Let's see some OT.
I think it's valuable for the young players, too. I mean, those guys start to understand what's what. I think it was
car, that's what's what.
There you go. And that's the other thing that happens is you start to realize which of these guys can handle it. Because you could watch an exhibition game last year and think, okay, I don't know if they'll be all right. And then against Gonzaga, you see Cooper's not ready to play. Jackson Kohler at that point couldn't hang on the court. Now, those guys got a little bit better, obviously, as the month went on and then as the season went on. But you get a better sense of what you have in those settings. And those guys get a better sense of where they are. And 2 of those freshmen are ready to go. It's very clear Cohen Carr can have a big impact and that Jeremy Fears Jr. can have a big impact. And while that's really important because ultimately a lot of this team otherwise are guys that came back. Now, I think Jaden Akins can take a step. I think A.J. Hoggard could have a big year, and I don't think you're just running it back necessarily. I think the center position, you'll see improvement. You see it already with Carson Cooper especially. Mady Sissoko hitting like 8 of 9 free throws or something at this point. That's important for a guy like that who's going to be at the line. Like
he started last season out unbelievable as well, right?
That's true. Yeah.
So like prime Shaq.
We'll see if Mady Sissoko continues, and I think Cooper's ultimately going to supplant him. But you start to learn that, okay, Cohen Carr's going to help you raise your ceiling. Jeremy Fears is going to help you raise your ceiling. That's another guy that gives you something different, that can push the pace, that can score. He's a dynamic guard potentially. Defensively guards people for a young guy. The guy that's going to be interesting to watch early on is Xavier Booker because you see his skill. Like, right, he comes in right away again and hits a 3. And he's going to do the things that's going to make everybody want more of him. But I think he's also not going to do enough of the things. There are going to be things we don't see him not doing correctly that are going to keep him off the court as well. So I think he's going to be an interesting guy because why don't you want the 6'11" dude who hits 3s on the court? But he's got a rebound. He's got to know where he's supposed to be, all that stuff. But that's part of the beauty of Cohen Carr. I think Cohen Carr playing the 4, playing power forward is something we're going to see more and more and more because if Booker's not ready to be in there, it'll be Cohen Carr as the backup to Malik Hall, and people will be okay with that too. I mean, Malik Hall is a 25-minute-a-game guy. He's going to play a lot. I think he's going to have a good year. But 15 minutes a game, most likely, the 4 are going to go to somebody else. And that'll be Booker and Carr. But if Carr's also playing the 4, it's going to be more and more him.
Sorry to interrupt you, but I was going to ask you about Carr's minutes. So what are we capping it at am I going to get mad at Izzo during the season?
I think Cohen Carr will play. If I had to pick his average for this season, I would say 17 to 20, 17, 18 minutes a game. People will be happy.
All right.
Cohen Carr is going to play a lot. Cohen Carr, I think, may play more than any other freshman not because he's better than Jeremy Fears Jr., but just because Jeremy Fears Jr. is at a logjam at point guard and in the backcourt, it's just a lot of guys. Whereas Carr will not only play some 3, he'll play some 4. He's versatile in that sense, and he gives them something they don't have, right? So I think people will be happy with as much as Cohen Carr plays. I think the way they were forced to play against a quality team that's likely to be, Sweet 16 and beyond in the NCAA tournament, that caliber of team is. And for these freshmen who have, I also think it's important to understand that these freshmen have gotten an experience that's different from most freshmen because the upperclassmen are so seasoned and pretty dang good, and that's who they're going on 5-on-5 every day in practice. So they've had a decent education to this point, but you play against somebody else, you see what doesn't work, you see where you can actually elevate people, and I don't know, I think they're going to be just fine. There's nothing that happened in this game that made me think, boy, they got a real problem there. You were reminded though that they don't have, when you look at their starting lineup, Malik Hall is not an NBA guy, right? He's not an NBA dude. He's a good college player. Carson Cooper, when he's in the game, or Sissoko, good players, and I think Cooper will continue to develop there. But they're not NBA guys right now, NBA difference makers. And so there are places where you're not necessarily going to overwhelm people. Their backcourt isn't necessarily huge. Tyson Walker's a smaller guard. Jay Nakin's on the wing at 6'4", really athletic, not the biggest guy in the world, although I think Akins we're seeing signs of some of the stuff that will emerge from him this year, and the shooting could be really, really special. Hogarth didn't play great, but I think he'll be fine. But you don't always have a lineup out there that's automatically physically going to overwhelm people with NBA talent. This isn't Gary Harris and Adrian Payne necessarily, and so they have to be dialed in. They have to play well. I think getting hit in the mouth again right out of the gate like that is not the worst thing in the world. To remind them that they're not automatically going to overwhelm people just because they're back, just because there's hype. It's going to have to be.
The question is Malik Hall, like you said. I mean, he's not an NBA guy, but what would it take for him to get to that level in your mind? Is it even possible? Because I feel like he plays sometimes like at a pro level, like he could make the NBA, and then sometimes you're just like, what,
If he was 6'9", he's like 6'8".
Yeah.
If he was 6'10", he's just not probably big enough, and he doesn't do one thing unbelievably well, not quite quick enough. I mean, I like Malik Hall a lot, and he's been hindered by some injuries, and so if he had a great year of health, for Malik Hall to make it, you look at a guy like Isaiah Livers, who's had injuries but sort of made it, and the Pistons still really like. He would have to become, I think, a guy that people really thought could shoot at the NBA level at 6'8". Boy, that guy's a guy who can stretch defenses. He's a smart guy. That sort of skill would have to be, if he became a knockdown outside shooter, there would be some intrigue about him. But I think that's
pretty much what you have to do if you want to be a fringe NBA guy, right? Just have one thing that you're elite at.
You're better off,
and you're gonna have a shot.
You're better at that than being a jack of all trades, right. I think, and that's that is for sure. Before we get into the Lions really quick, want to remind people that if you want to get more than just a Muskox flannel, if you want to get like a hat, a shirt, if you want to bundle together and get great savings, you can go to gomuskox.com/caw-caw. That's different than our promo code, right? gomuskox.com/caw-caw, and that'll take you straight to their bundle page. All sorts of great options. $50 up to $50 in savings there. You don't get the Couch in the Room promo code, but the savings are even better for multiple items. It's a great way to get a Muskox flannel, to get a hat for winter, to get a cool T-shirt you can wear when you're in a hot studio like this. You'll love the way you look. Jason and I, who are just hideous creatures by every definition, actually look presentable. And the softness, the durability, the comfort. Again, gomuskox.com/caw-caw if you want the bundle, and if you don't, just go muskox.com and the promo code HOFF for $15 off. Let's talk some Detroit Lions. Talk about something that gives you some comfort these days. What do you think?
I was kind of uncomfortable last night, even though it was a 12-point win. I mean, it still felt like, man, are we going to blow this game against the Raiders? The Raiders were fucking terrible. But shout out to Hank Fraley, the offensive line coach. He was basically piecing that together with 3 offensive linemen out yesterday. 1 sack allowed. The defense got to Garoppolo, hurried him a lot. Garoppolo was fucking terrible. But my concern is this, Graham. Garoppolo should have had like 3 touchdowns to Devontae Adams. If there was a half decent quarterback last night, what would the score be? And also the conservative play calling in the red zone. I mean, Ben Johnson, I get it. He's a genius, but sometimes geniuses get a little too fucking cute sometimes, and it just felt like we were playing for field goals at some point. But I mean, hey, it was a great Monday night win. I mean, Dan Campbell in the pregame interview, he's fucking crying and everything. It's like, what is happening?
You know, it was weird because there's part of me that felt like, so Goff throws that horrible pick 6, right?
Yeah.
It's one of the just a dreadful
defense
pick 6.
played well. There's 7 points there.
Yeah, it just a horrible play that you fear Goff throwing that pass in January and some really important game against a better team.
But shit happens. That's okay.
Right, and no question. And the other thing is, like, it also is good to finally be, like, for the Lions to finally be the team that can overcome imperfections, right? They've never been that team. They've always been the Raiders in this game. They're on the other side of it. And to be good enough to, because there are times Goff's shown that, and they had the game where, they couldn't overcome it when they had the turnovers against Seattle, right? That's a better team that beat them at the beginning of the year.
And they had 3 turnovers, but had time of possession. They killed the Raiders at 39 minutes to 20 minutes.
And they've got to keep tightening it up because they have a real opportunity here with the way San Francisco's gotten hit, and they're only 1 game behind the Eagles at this point. Like, they have an opportunity to compete for the number 1 seed. The division is not going to challenge them, especially now that Kirk Cousins is out and the best team behind him is 4-4.
But they just traded for Dobbs, Joshua Dobbs. Watch out.
Javon Gibbs, too, starting to look,
Jameer.
What did I call him?
Jamal.
Who was Javon? Wasn't he the previous running back?
Javon Walker.
I don't know. Fuck it. Anyway.
But when is the end of the trade deadline? It's at 4:00. I mean, it's kind of curious watching a guy like Montez Sweat. I mean, the Bears traded for Montez Sweat. I know he's a free agent after this year. The Bears have $100 million worth of cap, but I mean, we're not going to try to upgrade anything anywhere. We don't need any help anywhere. We're going to stand pat.
Yeah,
like, okay.
Yeah, I don't. Where would you upgrade? You'd upgrade maybe the defense somewhere, but
the D line,
pass rush or something. Yeah, I don't know.
Wide receiver. I mean, if Amon Ra, I know he was just sick the other day, but if he goes down, this offense is screwed. And why don't we throw to Laporta? I know we throw to Laporta a lot, but how about really 1 out of every 3 plays we just throw to Laporta? He's got to be open.
Yeah,
he's got to be able to catch. That's what frustrates me sometimes.
And look, I love part of this season too. Like, me and injuries, it's become a greatest hit. But I love the fact that Gibbs was underused in some ways early in the year and finding his way. So he's fresher now. Like, there's a better chance he's going to be healthy in December because he was carrying less then. And
that's fine.
I don't know. I still have great fears about Jared Goff and sort of what his ceiling is and what he can do for the Lions. And all that's going to come out in the playoffs, I think. And I think what the Lions ultimately do with him will be decided based on how he finishes the season, how he plays in big games.
And his ceiling is basically don't do what he did last night and throw a pick 6. If you don't do that, good chance we're going to win.
Yeah.
That's pretty much all you need out of Goff. It's fine. The check down stuff, maybe a deep ball every once in a while, but just do not turn the ball over. That's all we need out of Jared Goff. It's all good.
So I'm gonna read you the Lions schedule the rest of the way.
Win.
Win.
Case Stout.
Yeah. So, but anyway.
Trying to kill 10 minutes?
Yeah, no. We're going to get to Harry here in a couple minutes. But Chargers on the road, which is, Chargers don't have any fans, so it's not really a road game. But decent team. You could lose that. So either or. So there's
win.
One. So with Bears at home, they should win. Mm-hmm. Packers at home win. That's 2 wins. So Saints on the road. Saints are a decent team. So let's say worst case scenario, they lose to the Saints and Chargers. Bears on the road, again, game you ought to win. That should be 3 more wins. Broncos at home, 4 more wins. The Vikings, who knows what they'll be, but say you lose one of the 2 more to the Vikings, and so that's 3 more losses. and then Cowboys on the road. They could lose up to, they could reasonably lose four more games, right? And they could reasonably wind up being, what would that make them? 11-6, which easily wins the division. But if they win a couple of those toss-ups, even the way San Francisco's looked and Purdy's looked, I mean, they got a chance to play not only – they got a chance to either have a bye or have 2 home playoff games in Detroit. Yeah. And that's what they got to focus on, not the division. I mean, it's weird to say that. Like, they're going to win the division.
Just focus on winning every game.
Every week.
Right?
Because they got a chance.
Because the NFL is just wonky. I mean, look at what happened with the Broncos and Chiefs. The Chiefs went to Denver, and everybody thought, the Chiefs minus whatever it was, 3, and they get their ass beat by the Denver Broncos. I know that we're playing Denver, and it's just the NFL. You just never know week in, week out what the hell. That's why gamble on it, right?
The way I
love it, I guess.
Yeah, well, it's a ridiculous thing to gamble on. There's so many easier ways to make money than betting on the NFL. But I do think just the idea. I want to hear what Ford Field sounds like in the playoffs. The idea of like 2 playoff games there, what that place would be if they were able to
sound like last night, right? Or but like by times 2 or something.
Yeah, I think there's another decibel. I think there's another. I think it would be fun. I don't know. It's fun. It's fun to watch them. It's fun to see them as a favorite. It's fun to watch this rise. And it's fun even when they make you a little nervous to realize that they're just better than the other team they're playing, and that we just haven't seen much of that for.
It was
a long
kind
time.
of like the Atlanta game. I wasn't really concerned. It didn't seem like the Raiders could string anything together. Devontae Adams, hates Jimmy Garoppolo, so I just felt. But it was just like to win by 12. We should have won that game by 3 touchdowns.
All right, we are going to take a really quick break. When we come back, the great Harry Gagnon, and we will pick this week's coming games. Couch in the Roof, presented by Muskox Quality Flannels and our friends at Front 43 Neighborhood Pub and Cask & Company Kitchen and Bar.
Where else can you cheer on your team, enjoy a mouth-watering burger or savory sushi, sip on handcrafted cocktails, or one of 46 beers on tap? Take your game day or date night to Cask & Company Kitchen Bar or Front 43 Neighborhood Pub near Frandor. 2 amazing places with 1 awesome blended modern American Asian menu. Catch the game on one of 30 60-inch TVs or stop in for the all-you-can-eat lunch buffet. Enjoy happy hour or elevate your night out at Cask & Company or Front 43 on East Saginaw in Lansing. Ever wonder how comfortable you can be and how good you can look? Put on a Muskox flannel and find out. Muskox has new arrivals for this fall, including the Caper Green Grand Flannel, which even makes couch look good. Muskox is a Detroit-based flannel company that creates soft and durable flannels made to last a lifetime. They become a great partner with Couch in the Rube, not just because they make us look good and feel good, but because they're good people too, and a socially conscious company. For every $100 purchase, $10 is donated to the Alaska Wildlife Conservation. Muskox flannels are designed with 100% cotton that is ethically sourced and double brushed for softness. Feel the quality and comfort of a Muskox flannel by ordering at GoMuskox.com, where Couch in the Rube listeners can enjoy $15 off their flannel purchase with the promo code HOFF.
Find Couch in the Rube podcasts on Spreaker, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Google Podcasts, CastBox, and the Rube's favorite podcast addict.
Couch in the Roof, presented by Muskox Quality Flannels and Front 43 and Cask & Company. It is now time to pick the games, brought to you by our friends at Firekeepers and the Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app. And to do that, we bring on From the Ringer and Against All Odds with Cousin Sal, the great Harry Gagnon. Harry, how you doing, brother?
What's up, guys? How's everything?
Doing well. It's
Go Lions, restore the roar.
Yeah.
You started it, Harry.
Yeah, they're back. One bad week. That was it. And then they came back nicely last night.
Yeah, but that's the NFL.
Yeah.
Why do we gamble on the NFL, Harry? Why?
So true. I know. I ask that when I wake up every morning. I ask that to myself.
And
really.
then you put your bets in. And
then I put my bets in, and we're all good. We're all good.
Well, we have to watch it.
Yeah. I actually did pretty good. I had a good weekend this weekend. It was fun. It was good stuff.
Who do you have? Where do you make your money?
Well, I needed on all teasers. On all teasers, which everything hit, which was nice. I paired it with everything to the Lions, so that was nice. Down to like -1.5 on 7-point teasers. But in the pros, I had who was my best one? I really liked Minnesota on Sunday morning. I had that one good too. It's just like, I mean, I know it's unfortunate what happened to Cousins and all, but boy, I'll tell you, just like just him versus Love. It's just the Vikings beat up on bad teams a lot of times, and I thought that was a no-brainer, and it turned out to be pretty easy.
Well, so now that Cousins is out, are you on the Joshua Dobbs train now? Vikings still your team? I mean,
you know, Dobbs doesn't bring a lot to a team, really. Didn't do much in Arizona. First couple of games, I know he didn't have any picks for like the first 3 or 4 games, but didn't have many touchdowns either. Couldn't move the ball, especially in the second halves of games. Dobbs doesn't do much for me at all either. And it's unfortunate. Minnesota, I think, have won 4 of the last 5. They've been hot, and but now it's that's a terrible injury to lose Cousins like that. Terrible.
Yeah, rough for him too with the contract year and all that. Just brutal. You were at the World Series game last night, the Diamondbacks Rangers game, correct? What was that like?
Yeah, it was great. The atmosphere was good down there. It was a lot of fun, but just sometimes sometimes baseball is boring, and unfortunately, that was a real boring, slow game last night. The umpire, we're me and my pal, we're in the 3rd level, but right behind home plate, so you could see where the ball was, but you couldn't see if it was high or low on strikes. But boy, it looked like to me, the umpire, by the reaction of the fans, a lot of times that some of those balls and strikes were missed by that home plate umpire. And then when I saw the highlights of the 8th inning, after the Diamondbacks got the first runner on, and then Marino couldn't get that walk when that pitch was outside, it would have been 1st and 2nd with nobody out. Instead, they got out and that was it. But I wish it would have been a little more exciting. Like I went to Game 3 with the Phillies and Diamondbacks, and that was a lot of fun. That was a walk off, but last night just kind of boring. But Diamondbacks will go back at it today.
Yeah, I can't say I'm all that interested in this World Series.
Gamble on it.
Yeah, well, the problem is there's just so much else to bet on.
Sure.
that if I needed it, if it was alone, if there was not
tonight,
football,
right? I mean, what else is on tonight? MAC football.
It's Halloween, man. I'm going to be like
TVs.
Giving out candy to little ones, and
you can have the game on as well.
And I'm not going downtown Phoenix tonight because that was enough last night. Because tonight Wembayama's in town, and the Spurs are playing the Suns down there next door too. So there's a concert going on downtown as well. So with the World Series as well, forget it. I'm not going down there.
All right. Well, let's pick some games and make some money here. Let's start with the game of most national interest. Nebraska -3 at Michigan State. The last true home game of Michigan State season. Last chance for them to get a win at home this year in a Big Ten game. Their final game, obviously, is against Penn State at Ford Field. Nebraska's been playing a little bit better. Obviously, beat Purdue last week, beat Northwestern, who's been playing well the week before that. Both home games, went on the road to Illinois before that. They won 3 in a row, playing quite a bit better. Still lead the world in the fumbles. Still not a team you trust. I still don't think they're a team that's going to overwhelm Michigan State, but they're playing quite a bit better. I think the -3 makes sense given that MSU can't finish games. It's tough because it is an MSU home game, but at a certain point you kind of are what you've been, and I would need to know who the quarterback is here before I would make a play. If it's Sam Leavitt, the true freshman, who's shown a little something, I would be more inclined to tell people that Michigan State's got a better chance of finishing this. But what we've seen offensively from MSU with Caton Hauser, it's just not a group that's going to get it done. And so the 3 wouldn't scare me. Now, obviously, I'm not going to bet this game because I'm covering it, but
if you weren't covering it, would you still bet on it?
I would. If I weren't, I wouldn't bet on it either because I just don't know enough right now. And even if Sam Leavitt plays, I don't know what he's going to be as a starting quarterback. But if I had, for our purposes, give me Nebraska -3. The 3, just Michigan State just isn't finishing games, and Nebraska is right now, and 3 doesn't scare me given those factors. Where are you, Jason?
Yeah, listen, I hope I'm wrong, but Nebraska -3. I just don't trust Michigan State, like you said. What do you got, Harry?
Yeah, I'm with you guys too. Nice points there, Graham. I agree. I mean, look, Nebraska's won 5 of the last 6. 4 of those 5 wins by double digits, and their defense has been really good lately. Those 5 wins they've given up 14 points or less, and Michigan State hardly has any offense to speak of. It's hard to go against Nebraska here the way they're rolling. I'm taking the Huskers.
All right, a game that in some years is a massive game, and this year's just kind of like, okay. LSU, Alabama. LSU is a 3-point underdog at Alabama. I don't trust either one of these teams, but I do know this. Alabama is not likely to – they're just not running away from people right now. And LSU, the last 2 games they played, they're coming off a bye. They played Army, so that's not really anything. Pummeled Auburn. I think LSU is a live dog here on the road as well. I just don't like this Alabama team all that much, and I think LSU's got a little bit of punch. I think this is a big game for them, and so I'll take LSU with the 3 points. Jason, where are you?
Yeah, but LSU, they have a lot of injuries on the defensive side. I mean, they're going to be starting freshmen at cornerback, and the defensive tackle Wingo, they're going to be missing him. I just think Bama's the better team. They're kind of rolling a little bit now. They're at home. 3 doesn't scare me. I'm taking Bama given the points. What do you got, Harry?
I'm gonna take LSU with Graham. I know that you're right. Their defense is very shaky. LSU's, there's no doubt about it. It has been all season, but I just think Jaden Daniels throwing the ball to Neighbors and Thomas, too much offense. Those guys got 20 touchdowns, 1,600 yards combined. Bama barely getting by. They barely got by A&M and Arkansas, and then last week against Tennessee, or a week ago against Tennessee, they were down 13 at half. Brian Kelly, I think, goes 2-0. 2-0 versus Bama as an LSU head coach. I'm going to take the Tigers.
All right, next game is wildly interesting to me at this point. Washington minus 3.5 at USC, a game that still, especially for Washington, still has like national title implications. But USC could still play its way into the, could still be the big Pac-12 champion. Washington minus 3.5 at USC. Washington's been weird the last couple weeks, right? They have this game where they should have lost to Arizona State. They were awful. Arizona State played really well, 15-7. And then they play Stanford, who's not any good either, and they win 42-33. They give up 33 to a bad Stanford team. I don't know what's going on with Washington right now, but I trust them more than I trust USC, which just was like 50-49 against a bad Cal team. I think Washington's just a better overall team. I think their offense has as much punch, and their defense is quite a bit better, despite what happened against Stanford. Give me Washington. The 3 in the hook, they're trying to bait you the other way. I'm on the Huskies. Jason?
Yeah, and if you're having a bad couple of weeks, USC's defense is a great way to fix stuff like that. Over-under 76.5. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of crazy, too. Both teams are terrible against the spread. USC 2-7. The Washington Huskies 3-4-1. That half point, I just despise it, and Washington's not playing that great. Give me USC at home with the points. What do you got, Harry?
Yeah, I don't love this game. I don't love the way Washington's been playing lately, like Graham said. Pennick's still a favorite. He's right up there. McCarthy for the Heisman. USC's D still. Gave up 49 to Cal. I want to kind of lean towards USC here, but I just can't do it. I can't do it. You give up 49 to the Bears. I'm taking Washington still. I know that hook could come into play here. USC still, could win the Pac-12, but I think Washington gets by here and gets it done.
All right, Purdue plus 32.5 at Michigan. I don't know what they're doing with the half point there. I don't know what the hell that's for, but Purdue is bad. And early on, I thought they were going to, maybe Purdue was going to surprise some people. They were competitive at Iowa back when both those teams, still had a little more life. Although they gave up, you give up 20 to Iowa, it's concerning. They got beat badly by Ohio State, but what is that? I don't know. It still is at Purdue. And then they give up 31 to Nebraska. I do not think they're going to be able to score on Michigan, and I don't think they're going to be able to stop Michigan. And if Michigan just put up 49 on Michigan State, who I think is better than Purdue, give me the Wolverines here at home. And I think coming off a bye, an ornery group who's being accused of cheating, lots of stuff going on, I think this is a mature team that is just going to beat the living daylights out of Purdue. 32.5 doesn't scare me. Jason, where are you?
Well, we all know that the Purdue Boilermakers were scouted really well by Stalions, so there's no way they're going to. Anyway, Michigan needs to cover this game. Purdue is 2-6 and complete ass. If they don't, I don't know. Give me Michigan given the points. What do you got, Harry?
Yeah, look, I know there's a lot of negativity going around Ann Arbor these days But this Purdue team is one of the worst of all times. I mean, I love that bet that I had, and when I gave out when we went over futures, Purdue under 5 wins, that looks really solid right now. So even though with the negativity around Michigan, I mean, they could be up 49-0 at halftime, let alone what they did against Michigan State, like you guys just mentioned. They could be up 49-0 again at halftime against Purdue. Give me Michigan.
All right, last college game. Notre Dame -3 at Clemson. Look, I think there's some brand respect for Clemson here, who's just lost at NC State and Miami the last couple weeks. It's at Clemson, but Notre Dame has just been, the last couple weeks. I mean, they pummeled USC 48-20, made Pitt look ridiculous 58-7. I think they're better than Clemson. I understand that physically it's a matchup that shouldn't be a mismatch, but I'm sorry, Notre Dame is just the better football team right now. The 3 doesn't scare me. Dabo's going a little off the rails here. I'm on Notre Dame. Jason, where are you?
Yeah, this line was weird to me, boys, and I got it at 2.5 yesterday. But, I mean, like you mentioned, Graham, after losing to Louisville, Notre Dame, 106 points, and haven't given up more than 20. Dabo, he's calling out 12-year-olds on a fucking radio show. Give me Notre Dame. What do you got, Harry?
Yeah, I'm taking the Irish, too. Look, Clemson, their reign of the ACC, really, I think it's over. They're sitting at 4-4, Irish 7-2. They put up 106 points in the last 2 weeks against USC and Pitt. Beat Clemson by 21 last year. I'm all over the Irish.
All right, to the NFL. Dolphins. We start out with the I hate that they put this game in Germany, early morning game. People are going to wake up for it because it's a really good game. It should be over here though. Dolphins plus 2.5 versus the Chiefs in Germany. And the Chiefs right now, I can't trust them right now, and I don't love what they're doing. And I like the Dolphins. I just think the Dolphins are a little bit better team right now. More explosive on a neutral field. The 2.5 doesn't. I don't know. I know Tua got. I don't know. They weren't great always against the Patriots last week. Give me the Dolphins though, plus 2.5 right now. Jason, where are you?
Yeah, this is a spite bet because fuck the Chiefs. They lost to Denver, screwed up a lot of my parlays. But if you're giving me the Dolphins plus 2.5, a Tyreek Hill revenge game, give me the Dolphins plus the 2.5. What do you got, Harry?
Yeah, look, Mahomes 3 turnovers against Denver. Miami has the better offense, neutral field. I'm all over the Dolphins too.
Yeah,
see, all of what you said makes sense. So Sunday, it'll be completely flipped on its ass.
Yeah,
that's the NFL.
And screw Kansas City, as you guys well know, that I can't stand Reed and I can't stand the Chiefs. And I really hope they lose 2 in a row. I can't wait for this game actually, and rooting for Miami.
Do you like the commercial that Andy Reid's in where he wants Patrick Mahomes nuggies?
Nah,
you seen
I
that?
didn't like it. No, none of that makes me laugh. Andy Reid's overrated, and not only on the field but on commercials too.
All right, Seahawks plus 5.5 at the Ravens, who have been really good, obviously, and we watched them up close against the Lions. Seahawks won a game they probably should have lost at Cleveland. I just don't think the difference between these teams is that much, and I know it's in Baltimore, but if you give me the Seahawks these days with 5.5 points, I'm going to take it, and so I'm on the Seahawks, Jason.
Yeah, exactly what you said. I mean, no injuries for the Seahawks. They're 2-1 on the road. Like, what am I missing here? Why is this at 5.5? I really like it. So give me the Seahawks plus 5.5. What do you got, Harry?
Me too. I know 2 weeks ago, Baltimore, look, that was probably the best game anyone had played all season against Detroit, but didn't cover against Arizona. And, 5.5 seems like a nice chunk with the Seattle offense. That looks decent. I'm taking the 5.5 with you guys.
All right, this next game is a big game for the Lions, and what I mean by that is the Cowboys plus 3 at the Eagles. The Lions need somebody to beat the Eagles if they're got any shot at getting the bye and home field, number 1 seed throughout the playoffs. Cowboys are one of the teams that has a chance to do so. Obviously, a really good team. I don't know. I'm a little. If home field is 2 points these days in the NFL, and so they only think the Eagles are 1 point better than the Cowboys. At 3, anything more, I'd really hesitate here, but I think I'm on the Eagles at -3 at home. Jason, where are you?
It's the Mike McCarthy tax. I just don't – listen, if they had any other coach than Mike McCarthy, even Andy Reid, Harry, I think I would take the Cowboys, but give me the Eagles minus the 3 at home. What do you got?
Yeah, I'm going to take the Eagles too. Philadelphia is 5-0 versus NFC teams. They beat Dallas by 9 at home last year. Seems like Dallas, whenever they play somebody tough, they lose that game, but they can beat up on anybody else who's kind of bad. Kind of like last week against the Rams. I had said when we went over that game, I gave Stafford a little bit of credit, and I had some faith in him. But, boy, I tell you what, that pick six that he threw was awful. That was a complete gift, and just Dallas steamrolled from there. But now they're playing Philadelphia on the road. I'm taking the Eagles. I think they get it done.
All right, the last NFL game, Bills +3 at the Bengals. And I'm going to jump on this Bengals train until they lose because I think they're playing really well. I think there's some futures value on Bengals to win the division still on the Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app. Bengals -3 at home. Look, the Bills are a really good team. This is a great game. Love it. But I'll take the Bengals right now as long as they're this hot.
Yeah, the Bills I know the Bills have been ass at points during the season, but you give me Josh Allen. I know it's in Cincy, but Josh Allen +3. Give me the Bills. What do you got, Harry?
Yeah, tough one here. Again, the Bills last Thursday blew the cover. But win against Tampa Bay. They've had a couple extra days to prepare. They will for this. But kind of. I want to take Buffalo, but I'm still going to go Cincy. I'm going to lay the points here. They are 4-1, the Bengals, in the last 5. They've won 3 in a row, and in those 3 wins, their defense has given up to 16 points per game. Buffalo, sometimes, they can't find their offense if they have no running game whatsoever going. I just think the more consistent team right now is Cincy, so I'm going to take the Bengals.
All right. Anything that you guys specifically already like this week as early as Tuesday? I know it's early in the week.
I do like this. The Raiders are playing the Giants. I do like the under 37.5. I actually thought that might be a little lower. I thought that was going to be about 36, maybe even 35.5, and you're getting 37.5. So in 2017, you still win the game. This New York Giant, I know Jones is probably supposed to be coming back, and that's all well and good, I guess, for the Giants fans. But last week's performance was one of the all-time worst. They had 8 yards passing in that game. 8 yards passing. Their offense, even with Jones in there, is anemic at best. And the Raiders, 7 of their last 8 games, they've scored 20 points or less, and the only game they scored more than 20 is when they got the safety at the end of the game against the Patriots to land on 21. Otherwise, they'd have under 20 as well. I'd really like under 37.5 Raiders Giants.
Noted and written down.
I'm surprised you didn't put in Iowa Northwestern, Graham. I know you like these god-awful games. Now, Brian Ferentz, breaking news, I know, is not going to be brought back next year. They had to make that announcement. So he's a dead man walking.
Yeah. No,
so why not smoke some weed and then go call some plays and see what happens after that?
I've got a
might work.
I've got a 2009 style Graham parlay that I kind of like that I'm going to tell people about here. It's a sure thing, but you got to lay some wood to get a little wood. I don't know if that sounds right. Anyway, on the money line, Ohio State -1050 at Rutgers. On the money line, Oregon -2400 at home against Cal. On the money line, Man City at home -1000 against Bournemouth. Parlay, you put 400 down, you win 100. It's a great way to win $100. Great way to win $100. You got to be able to put 400 down, but it's a great way to win $100. Also, really like Everton plus 1,000. There's still value to get them top 10 in the Premier League. The way they are playing, their underlying numbers, I really like. They're when you look at who's in the top 10 right now, West Ham likely to fall out. Maybe Brentford does too, and you can also get Brentford still at like plus 130, and one of those two will likely, you could hedge your bet a little bit, will likely finish in the top 10. But there's, I think, good value on Everton at plus 1,000 to finish in the top 10 of the Premier Leagues. Gives you a team to root for all year long who's in the lower half that I think is playing really, really good. soccer at this point. And also, I dig a bunch of Premier League stuff this week. You can get a parlay with Man City, Bournemouth, Liverpool over Luton Town, Arsenal over Burnley, and Brighton over Sheffield United, which pretty much pays even money. So that's a nice little four-teamer as well.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Graham, but I think you went 3 out of 4 last week, right? Brighton didn't get there?
Brighton did not get me there.
Yeah,
Yep.
you texted me, Harry.
Yeah,
told me all about it.
Did I that one? I don't know if I did I this week?
I was just kidding.
But you're right. You nailed the liver. Nottingham Forest got shut out 3-0. That was a nice one.
Yeah, no, I've been feeling it all right. The only thing that ever screws me over these damn international breaks.
So you're telling people to bet $400. What was the first game of that parlay?
The first game of that parlay was Ohio State at Rutgers.
Okay.
So Ohio State, Rutgers, and then it's Ohio State, Oregon, and Man City just to win. And look, if you don't have to put, you can play 100 and win $25. Do whatever you want. But I'm just saying, if you've got the means to do it and you want to,
you must bet 400.
I'm not saying that. You can bet 40,000 if you want. I would not advise that because it'll be the worst sweat of your life. But
or the greatest.
Or something will go wrong. Like Rutgers will beat Ohio State if somebody does that. So don't do that. That would be ridiculous. Jason, anything you particularly like already this week?
Yeah, I got a parlay going, boys. I don't know if anybody cares, but Notre Dame, like we talked about, -2 and a hook. Northern Illinois at Central, that big scandal school, Central, -5. And Vatek, I know Louisville at home. Louisville's playing good, but 9 and a hook. I don't think Vatek wins the game, boys, but I think that they cover that spread. So that parlay, that's plus 589.
Wow, that's not bad. I will say this too, guys. Be careful this week in the NFL. You got 4 teams on byes, which include the Lions, but yet out of the games that are remaining, there are 10 games in the NFL. 10 games this week in the NFL that have the spread of 3 or less.
Yeah.
Be careful. Be careful.
Harry, you're a wise man, and I'm glad to have you here. As I just told people to put $400 down to pay $100.
And by the way, with Bill Simmons, he does the Cousin Sal podcast that I love after the games on Sunday. So they do the what's the next week spread's going to be.
Yeah.
They're all like 2.5 or 2.
Yeah,
it's not even fun anymore.
Yeah.
It's
and by the way, guys, yes, thanks for mentioning that too, Jay. This week, if you guys in your local cable provider, you guys get FanDuel TV. I will be on. We're taping on Thursday. I'm doing picks with Sal, Cousin Sal, and we will be on Friday morning on FanDuel TV, giving out hopefully a bunch of winners. Last time I was on with Sal a couple weeks back, I went 8-5, I believe. So nice. I'll take that any time, any week at all. So I'll be on this Friday on FanDuel TV with Sal's winning weekend.
Nice. Well, we look forward to that, and Harry, appreciate all the time. I know this segment we went a little long today, but the value you bring us is tremendous, and we appreciate
Anytime,
you.
Guys. I love it. Man. Love it, guys. Take care. Let's hit something.
That's the great Harry Gagnon from Against All Odds with Cousin Sal, and of course the Ringer. We appreciate you listening, and apologies for being away this weekend. We'll be back on Thursday with a Groovy Donut Twitter questions. We'll get that tweet out. We'll get your questions. And, we'll talk some more MSU football, some Lions, Michigan State hoops, whatever is on your mind. We appreciate Front 43 and Cask & Company. Go to caskandcompany.com. Check out their menu or just swing on by. And thanks to Muskox. Go to gomuskox.com to check out their flannel offerings. The comfort, the durability, the quality, you will love it. And again, Hoff, Hoff, for $15 off for Couch in the Roof listeners. Good show, man.
Yeah, man.
Couch in the Roof.